What I wanted to do today is talk a little bit about New World and like the day one impressions, and just kind of talk about what people have been saying across the internets. And I look at games in a pretty narrow lens, and I've been approaching New World in a very narrow lens as well. All I wanted to do when jumping in here is to just be present and just be here for like the launch day madness. I want it to be around, and I'm logged in right now because I want to make sure I don't run into freaking queues and things like that. But there are things about this game that make me, that I've said throughout yesterday's stream, but I'll just kind of share it right now. I really would have enjoyed like the launch more if it was a shared experience, if all the realms went up at once, or all the servers across all the regions went up at the same time, so we could all enjoy this sort of experience together. One of the other things that I didn't talk about, and I will right now, is the fact that, we're using this. I don't think it's a dated system, but using like servers and things like this, and not really being conscious of like the hype and the possibility of like a bunch of people coming in to want to check things out, try it out, yada yada yada. Not being able to handle that apart from, hey, let's just make more servers. I feel like that was at the least irresponsible, because it's like World of Warcraft has been out for a little while now, and you would figure that in the case of like overloaded realms, things like that, that they would have certain things in place that are designed mostly to handle like the initial big influx of players. And I'm talking about things like sharding, layering, that sort of thing, in order to just make the game playable for folks. Now I know that there have been plenty of conversations about sharding, layering, things like that, where people would be like, no, I want to be able to, play with the same people together on the same realm and blah, blah, blah. And that's, I totally get it. I totally get it. But when the game first launches, you don't want people to be sitting in a queue. If there's a big old sale, if it's a Black Friday or whatnot, and people will like want to like barrel into the store and get like the good deals, the last thing you want to try to have people do is stand in a line. We've seen because people are going to stampede their ass through and try to get in. In the case of gaming, in the case of MMOs or whatnot, and people are trying their best to get in, what people are going to end up doing, what player behavior will dictate two things. One, they're going to be like me. I'm going to be like, oh, dude, this queue of 7,000, yeah, that ain't going to happen. Bounce. And I'm going to go to like this little podunk server to, just so I can get my jollies in. But that's just me. There are people who want to play together. A bunch of friends that pre-plan this. Hey, we're going to go to this server, set up your stuff, let's go. And then things don't work out. That causes a lot of friction. Another big thing that has brewed up over the past 5 some years or so are streamers. Of course, you can have like really big streamers that are paying attention to this game, or Amazon is paying them to pay attention to this game. You know how that goes. And their followers will be like, oh dude, let's go together, and then they'll all just cram into a single realm and effectively ruin the thing, which it messes with the streamer and their followers because they're trying to play. It messes with everyone else who happens to be in the wake of that. They're like, oh, dude, like, okay, this place is being ruined because now not only are we dealing with queues, now we have to deal with like this streamer and their following and like the cloud of people that will be following them. Because in the case of New World, and this is another issue, New World is a multi-faction game. It has 3 factions, and the impact of these factions is not meant to be super impactful. You get buffs, when you get control, you get like little perks, resource perks, accessibility, things like that. I'm not too familiar with like all the details. The problem though that comes from that also comes from this is definitely with the PvP side of things, because now if you want to group together, obviously, you need to be on the same server. There is no cross-server sort of dealy that's going on right now. But if you want to be grouped for like PvP combat, obviously you need to be part of you all need to be part of the same faction, which may cause problems unless everyone wants to do the same thing. But if you're like a streamer, if you're part of a big community, everyone's going to be will want to be part of the winning team. And so, of course, everyone's going to pick the yellow team or the orange team or the wait, yellow. It's yellow, green, and purple. That's their names, as far as I've noticed. And I'm Team Green because that whole bit about we're like pirates, but on land, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm sold. I was totally sold by that line alone. Everyone else was taking themselves way too seriously, and I'm like, okay, I think I can jive with this group. But that sort of divide, it's not the kind of thing that I would expect to have in 2021 games. The whole point is to, if we're thinking of this very pragmatically, we want to have the most people playing as much as possible. You would want to employ a sort of technology that prevents like this whole thing with queues. You still want people to play together, hence the whole sharding and layering that I mentioned. And you don't want some sort of multi-faction thing where you make people's decisions of faction or whatnot feel like the wrong one. If I recall correctly, in order to change a faction in New World, you can change it once without friction. Sound familiar? But if you want to change it afterwards, you gotta wait 4 months. 4 months in order to change from green to yellow to orange or to yellow to purple or whatever. 4 months, man. Shadowlands is just like, one reset this day and then another reset this other day, and then you're like good to go. It's so that's rough. That's like, dude, I'm just gonna re-roll another character sort of status. It's rough. Someone on chat is saying, yeah, your land pirates too saw the achievement being part of the 0.5% of the. Wow, really? The land pirates are like the minority? Come on, land pirates. See, fortunately for me, I'm, as a player, I'm just playing by myself. I'm approaching this as a very solo experience, and I'm just exploring. I'm checking things out. I'm getting killed, and it kind of sucks. Why 4 months? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it was rough. Like I was like, dude, this friction is really nuts. And that just, it makes the game feel unfriendly for people that want to, make that right choice or make it feel like they're making the safe choice. Speaking just for me again, I don't care about the safe choice. I just wanted to like get in on things and like, and be on my own. And I've seen like some of the PvP going around here. It seems pretty frictionless. Like you'll see people like, chucking rocks and hammers and all this other stuff. But it doesn't affect me at all. I can walk right through it. Nothing's going on. At first I was like, whoa, what's going on? But I believe, from the hotkeys, all you have to do is press a single button, and then boom, you can flag yourself for PvP like instantly. I'm not sure about the restrictions and whatnot. I find it funny though that the default button to put yourself in PvP is just like the U key. Press that button, and you're killable. It's like that, like fat finger that thing. I don't know how you do it, but if you fat finger that thing, like you're pretty much done and over with. Otherwise, though, like most of my issues with the game lie with like really fundamental things about it that just aren't really for me. Because with this sort of game, you deal with everything is a skill shot. Like it's not a targeting sort of game. You don't select the targets and fight. You run up to the thing and you got to face it, and then you got to point the things at it. And so it makes it feel at the moment, it makes it feel problematic as a caster person, especially at launch, because in that sort of game, you don't want to deal with lag, and there is some lag, some latency, some hiccups here and there. And mob AI, they tend to move a little bit funny too, which makes it feel very disadvantageous as a range, because you're doing not a whole lot of damage. The way I'm seeing it, you're doing way more damage as melee most of the time, and melee has a harder time missing. It's just that they're taking more damage and so on and so forth. But the issues that I'm having with ranged, and me as a player, I'm not great at FPS games, shooter type games, and I don't like that. That notion makes it feel like I can't play a game where I want to, immerse myself into a world and enjoy things. The gameplay is preventing me from enjoying the world. And that feels, I have weird thoughts about that. I can accept the fact that, so you can't play FPS games because you just suck at it. Okay, that's fine. It's not really my thing. But world exploring and things like that, that is, I get a kick out of that. But if I'm made to struggle more because, I'm not as fast as the young people, here I am out of myself, then that makes it problematic. Now, I can't think of a fix for this. This is, like I said, this is a very fundamental thing. This is built into the game. That's just what happens. But I want to be able to like this game. Things I am enjoying about it though. I enjoy the crafting side of things so far, and I enjoy, and I'll get into that in a bit. I think I want to talk about this more. I just like that you can just jump into things. It's very fast. I've commented and said that the story is very minimal. I don't find that to be very. I don't think that's very fair because I haven't really gotten into it. I haven't done too many of the quests because they're just kind of hard to do. It involves a lot of walking and all that. And part of the journey is that walk and running into stuff or seeing something to pick or an enemy running into you or just hearing sound. It's like, oh, what's that? Oh my God, all this stuff is going on. And there's like loot everywhere. So when you're exploring, you'll constantly see like treasure chests and things like that, stuff to pick, to the point where you can kind of avoid fighting a lot. It's hard to, but you can, do your best to avoid doing a lot of fighting. Just kind of follow the crowd if there happens to be a crowd, and then just loot stuff, because loot in the form of boxes, you just kind of run in and grab stuff, and like that's totally okay. But again, I do like that because you can just jump in. And hey, you want to try out a new way to play the game? Just put on a different weapon, buy something real quick from the little auction house, and then start leveling your stuff up, and then start developing your character by using your abilities, getting experience, and then throwing your points into whatever, and then start to create your character the way that you want. I think of something like WoW, and it does let you sort of jump in. But it doesn't let you just hot swap. It's like if you want to switch to a different class or different spec, you might need to like reroll a brand new character. That kind of sucks. Final Fantasy 14, it has even less flexibility because it's like, you got to do these job quests, and you got to and then of course level yourself up. Here I can be like a level, my character can be like level 15 and have lots of stamina and blah blah blah. But if I want to switch from a sword and board to a two-handed giant hammer sort of thing, cool, I can do that just by swapping out my weapon, and then I can start going to town, and I'll feel somewhat viable, and I'll be able, and there will be like not exactly XP boosts, but I'll be able to gain weapon experience faster, so I can start getting like those cool abilities and skills. It just takes a little bit. It just takes a little bit to get started. The crafting game I do like as well, because it's simple. Most of crafting isn't crafting. Crafting is gathering. You're going to be doing a shitload of gathering in this game, and there's tons of everything to gather, and all of it seems to have. Right now, because it's early game, everything has like some small inherent use, for the purpose of leveling your skills or like using stuff. Like I've made a whole bunch of different potions. I have like 100 of these potions or whatever. I'm super encumbered, but I sort of can't die because I'm just chucking potions like every few moments. But it's cool because the whole all the land is there to pick, from giant trees to like little shrubs, and all the animals that you kill you can skin, and you don't have to learn a profession exactly to in order to skin it at all. You can get started. You just got to start at an early level. But once you have everything established, once you're a skinner, once you have the abilities, you can just walk around, see this whole field of stuff, and be like, I'm going to clear everything out. And you can do it unless everything respawns, because right now everything respawns kind of fast. The other thing, I don't need to like do a swap. Like I said, it's not like in WoW where you gotta unlearn professions and relearn new ones. It's not like 14 where you gotta toggle a button and then put on your gathering gear or your crafting gear, and then switch that thing. It's very, very seamless. There's the loop here. Because it's not a subscription based game. It's a buy to play. It doesn't try to hold you in like that, and so because of that, the requirements and the grinding, it's just real. There are high grinding requirements. You need a ton of resources to like get your skills up. There are lots of activities you can do, and you can just keep doing them. It's not, there isn't, there's a cap here. Not that I know of. I haven't run into it, at least. There isn't like a cap. There isn't like a daily cooldown of stuff. Like I can rep up with my faction people and get like 6 quests to do. 3 of them are based on PvE content, 3 of them are based on PvP content, and once I complete like things, they just refresh. I'm just getting more and more stuff. I think they refresh like only every couple of hours or so. So you're paced a little bit, but it takes long enough to get anywhere and to do things that it's very forgiving on that. It's okay that if you're going to wait a little bit, because it's like, okay, well, I got to offload my equipment. I got to, get rid of some of this stuff, update my things and here or there. And that's okay. Excuse me. But yeah, just overall, like, I guess the launch, it's spotty. Some folks have been running into disconnects, and because of those disconnects, especially if you're on a bad server, then you're going to be stuck in a several hours long queue. And that just ruins the experience. So it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, that they could have done this launch. They could have done this better. They could have managed their expectations a little more. But that's how it. I think that's how it is with a lot of these modern games that have a lot of hype behind it. No one is doing a good job of managing these. In a couple months, in less than 2 months, Endwalker for Final Fantasy XIV is going to launch, and I'm counting on that to be like a total clusterfuck. I feel like, not to hype up WoW at all, but I feel like modern WoW handles it the best because they just have the most experience with how to handle their player base and everything. After the launch, the actual game, it's whatever you want to complain about, cool. But I think Blizzard's experience with expansions and launches, they're able to do it like pretty darn good. But yeah, going back to New World, it's still pretty fun. I think if you got the spare 40 bones or so, or whatever it is, in whatever region you're at, I think it's worth giving a shot. If you're on the fence, though, I think you can wait. I think you can wait a little while. Hopefully it'll go on sale or something like that. But probably not. I think a lot of folks are interested in checking this out. It's a cloud of people that I've noticed. I think with people having walked away from WoW for whatever the reasons are, there's this cloud of people who just roam from game to game. Right now, it's on New World. That cloud might move on at any time. It may move on as soon as Endwalker releases. It may move again as as patch 9.1.5 or 9.2 comes out for World of Warcraft, or the next game, Ashes of Creation, or any of the other ones that I can't think of off the top of my head. But that's what I think the MMO community is going to do for a while. They're just gonna kind of roam the land and find their place to settle in, and slowly that cloud will be chipped away, and maybe we'll all eventually settle on like a spot. but I think it's a cool enough game to check out. If you want to wait though, yeah, I would say wait until the populations die down, or if you're going to be on your own, choose one of those low pop servers. I've been having a pretty good time. Like, I did run into a queue yesterday. It was like 200 or so I had to wait about 15-20 minutes or so. Kind of sucks still, but much better than the thousands or whatever queues that some of these other folks have to deal with. Like, don't put yourself through that. Don't ruin your game experience that early on. If you're running into that sort of stuff, just screw it. Just go ahead. You and your buddies go to like the most far off away server that you can, and I trust that you'll have like a better time. And that's all I gotta say. Skaboosh.